It's early March, and that can really only mean one thing. A bunch of dudes who have not watched college basketball all year have deep opinions on which 12 seed is most likely to win in the round of 64. Let's find out a little bit more.
It's Short King summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich, football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense looks constipated. It's Short King summer.
All right, Mr. FearMyTurtle, Mr. Alex Hardin from EstablishTheRun.com. We're going to draft some best ball teams on Underdog. We're going to fire some pick'em entries for the opening couple days of the tournament. But just by and large, are you expecting this to be a fun tournament, or is this just going to be like the Cooper Flag Duke coronation? Because I'm not actually all that interested in that.
I mean, there's really good teams at the top end just beyond Duke. So I think we're not going to see, I'd be surprised to see a lot of big upsets in this tournament specifically. I just think the 1-2 seeds are very strong here. So, I mean, I don't think it's just a red carpet for Duke, but they're definitely the best team if Cooper Flag is healthy. But this is an all-time good group of 1 seeds.
The 1 seeds are very strong. I mean, that is true if you look at Ken Pom or Torvik or whatever. I mean, they are awesome relative to, kind of what you would anticipate here. Let me
compared to last year, I think there's 6 teams this year that are better than the best team from last year. So It just kind of tells you that there may not be a lot of chaos here with the top seeds going down early, like we have seen in the last few years.
Yeah, Duke 3 in offensive rating, 4 defensive rating. Florida 1st in offensive rating, 10th in defensive rating. Houston 10th in offensive rating, 2nd. I mean, that is it's pretty insane.
Look at these net ratings, 35. There's 4 teams over plus 35 net rating. I think there's been 4 teams the last 20 years that fit that, and all 4 of the 1 seeds here fit that criteria. So yeah, there's some really good teams. But even the 2 seeds are fairly strong, like Bama, Tennessee. I'm not huge on Michigan State, but someone like a Texas Tech could make a run. So
I did do a Texas Tech. That's nice. Every year I bet one of the teams that is not going to win, whether it be Houston, whether it be, whatever 3 seed. I did hear a great stat today, and this is all March Madness is people reiterating great stats that don't actually mean anything.
Yeah.
But the great stat is the last 16 years, the champions have all either been 1 seeds or the University of Connecticut. So take that for whatever you want.
That is true. I don't think it'll be Connecticut this year.
Are they not even in?
They're a 9 seed. They're a deeply flawed team, but
what happened? What happened to them?
I mean, they lost their guys. They're kind of rebuilding. It didn't quite come together as they thought. So yeah, Donovan Clingan cleaned up a lot of mistakes last year for them. He's just a monster. I'm not sure if he's doing anything in the NBA, but
no, he's actually great.
Is he playing?
Yes. He's playing now. He got drafted to a team that already had centers in, and now it's total silly season, and they want to lose. But I believe if he qualified, he would be the highest offensive rebounding rate in the NBA. At least that was true when I looked it up last week. I don't know if it's still true right now.
He's just a giant ogre. He's awesome. Yeah. I like him. Yeah. I mean, I think there's only 7 teams that have a legit chance to win, and it's the top 7 on Ken Pom. So for me, it's a pretty distinct cutoff after that.
All right. So in your bracket, do not pick anyone other than Duke, Florida, Houston, Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, or Texas Tech to win. I've got in my big pools, the massive ones, a lot of entries, I am picking Houston or Texas Tech in my big ones. And then in chalk pools, small ones, I'm just picking Duke, because in your office pool, you should probably just pick Duke, right? I mean, yeah.
I think Duke and Florida are going to be the highest 2 picks to win it all, but I think it's probably deserved. Houston does. I mean, they're almost the same. They're a little bit better offensively than they usually have been, but the last 5 years, they're kind of the same team, and they always kind of disappoint. So I think that's the expectation for them. So I think people kind of feel burned or just don't think they have the upside to win it all, which I think they do. It's a tougher click because Duke and Florida, much sexier teams, won their conference tournament. Florida just looked amazing during the SEC tournament. So kind of that's in people's minds. And Duke obviously won the ACC without Cooper Flagg, and like they're a pretty loaded team. So it's tough to get away from them. Auburn's kind of the sneaky one. They've lost 2 of their last 3 games. Like 2 weeks ago, they were like, everyone thought that they were no doubt number 1 overall team. So they might be flying a little bit under the radar. I mean, we've seen this before where teams get like knocked off early in their conference tournament and then like they bounce back and just like run through the tournament. So be interesting to see how Auburn responds.
I mean, they get rest too. You know, some of these teams, if you make it all the way to your conference championship or win your conference championship, I mean, you would have just played, what is it? Because they play every day.
I mean, a lot of the conferences are moving to like multiple buys, so there lessens the that on the big teams, but it's still like 3 games in 3 days or whatever for some of these schools.
And I mean, in the tournament, it's for the first 2 days, it's every other day. So yeah. All right, let's hop in some drafts. Let's add in let's do a little bit of championship run here. Rare miss sight from our friends at Underdog. Very rarely do they over or undersize something. If anything, they might oversize it a little bit and eat a little bit of overlay, but this is going to fill today.
Yeah.
And there's not really enough time to put up another tournament. I mean, maybe they could put up a $5 tournament overnight or something, but I was surprised. I mean, I figured after Selection Sunday, there would be some real big hunger for this tournament.
Yeah, and that's definitely the case. Drafts were filling really fast last night. Like I did one at like midnight and it just filled instantly, which was not the case before the bracket came out. I will say I am glad that I drafted like 75 teams before the bracket over the last couple of weeks because it's pure chaos now in the lobby, especially with a bunch of no badgers just going for it. Like there's no respect for stacks at all. So it's a lot of pivoting, getting different teams than I drafted before, which is good. But I'm glad I went for some of those like 5-man Houston and Florida stacks early in the contest.
Yes. I mean, that is just generally speaking how playoff best ball works on Underdog in general, is that you really, I mean, I guess the good idea is you want to draft the whole time so you can get good combinations of players. How much are you sweating like who plays who in the Final Four or the Elite 8 or the Sweet 16 or whatever? Like,
I mean, not tons. It's just I'm more sweating just getting the teams on the right side of the bracket. The left side of the bracket has a high concentration of all the teams I was stacking early in the draft, so that didn't work out ideally, but hopefully still have some live teams there. But yeah, that's the problem here is just like I'm trying to learn the bracket on who's on what side, and you just have to kind of track that as your draft goes because you don't want to overload one side and not have a live team to have 5 in the championship game. So like obviously Auburn and Duke are on opposite sides, but yeah, the 1 seeds, like all the players are going pretty fast now. I'm seeing like 4th and 5th, 6th guys on these 1 seeds going like 20 picks before ADP. Like it's kind of tough to build out big stacks now.
Do you guys have an updated ranking set on ETR?
Yeah, we've been updating each day. It's still kind of tricky because obviously you can't draft strictly from the ranks because
you definitely
of the
can.
format. But yeah, we've been doing that. Nothing's like changed too much. The Cooper Flagg injury kind of threw a wrench in things, but I think he's going to be back, if not the first game, on the weekend. So I guess we'll see. All right, so we have the 5 pick. Let's just, you want to go for some Texas Tech? That's a
Let's do
stack to build out.
Do you guys hear that paper right now, my man? Do you have a paper bracket right now at your desk to keep track of everything?
How am I going to know which team is on which side? Like I need a 4th monitor.
Wow.
But yeah,
that man.
Oh, you don't even want to.
Who's got his hand
see
in
my
the dirt.
Notes for Thursday is just it's on paper. Like I don't know. I'm old. What do you want?
That is truly impressive stuff. So we did Toppin. Do we want to try and take someone from the other side of the bracket or just grab another Texas Tech guy?
Yeah. Trying to remember who's on what side. I know Tennessee's on the other side, so running out of time, we'll just pull the trigger on Ziegler. Even though I don't love Tennessee, it's just like don't want to overreach a couple rounds. Like I said, a lot of teams are on the left-hand side with Texas Tech on the bracket, so I don't want to waste a high-end pick on a one-off that I can't build around. So,
is JT Toppin related to Obi Toppin? Is that his little brother or his cousin?
I'm pretty sure it's his brother. That was my working assumption.
You're working.
Yeah, I'm like,
yes, younger brother. And there's also another one. Jacob Toppin is a G League player. He was
Kentucky, right?
Hawks.
I think
they are related, Miles. They JT Toppin, I get, and he would be like his much younger brother because Obi Toppin is like he's like a 6-year NBA vet. All right, so we've got Texas Tech and Tennessee. We have got a guard. We've got a big. So what are we looking at for Texas Tech wings?
Yeah, the Texas Tech wing, Darian Williams. I'll be reaching a little bit to work on these stacks, but let's see what else. We could build out like a.
We could take another team from the right side of the bracket.
Well, we might have to settle for the other side of settle for the left side. Like all these guys on the top of the queue. Or all right, we're gonna go queen and build out like a. What did you call this the other day? A multiverse team?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it. Well, it's some like I think of this doing the NBA playoff basketball teams is basically like I decide which team is going to win one conference and then build like 3 options from the other one. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So in this version, we'd be landing on Tennessee as that because they're the one team from the right side. So we have to focus more on building out.
Do we have a Tennessee wing?
Yeah, Milicic, he kind of sucks and is a hacker, but we're gonna have to go down that path.
It just feels like a guy named Igor has like a great chance to be getting a lot of TV time on CBS though.
He can get TV time because he commits literally the dumbest fouls you will ever see. Like just pure dumb stuff, but I don't know. He plays for Tennessee, so that's the positive here.
Who is your prediction for who is going to be the Jack Golke of this tournament? Just like totally no one knows who this guy is, and then everyone in America for like a week is going to know who he is.
Man, that's a good question. To give that some thought.
You know what's a shame? Robbie Avila never got to play in a March Madness tournament. He only ever got to play NIT. How did Robbie Avila never get to play in March Madness? Kind of a
I don't know. He's running back the NIT tonight. I think he plays tonight.
He does. Yeah. And I actually theoretically I could go watch him play whenever I want because he plays at St. Louis University. So that shows how into college basketball I am that I did not go what do they call him? Something
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah, that is a really good nickname. All right, so we are gonna take.
I think that's the thing with the Jack Golkes. You can't even predict the Jack Golkes. That's how they become the Jack Golkes. So you just have to let it come to you.
It is no, you're so right because it's got to be someone who just hits a bunch of threes. I mean, that's basically the criteria. Or the North Carolina State DJ Burns, the big guy.
Yeah,
you have to be kind of funny looking.
He's smashing in South Korea now.
Korea.
Yeah, we'll have to go Tennessee. Chaz Lanier is their best shooter. Might have to reach for Akpara in the next pick just to kind of solidify
I was gonna say, is there
actually no? We need to go Darian Williams next pick and hope Akpara falls to us because that wing position is going to be important because it dries up pretty fast.
Or because we have Tennessee from whatever region they're in.
We don't even need a big because if we get all of the other options covered in big, like we're fine without a Tennessee big to also.
Yes, so we don't need a Tennessee big, and then we can take like a Maryland big, or we could take a UConn big, or a Michigan State big, a Marquette big. They probably don't even have one. What's Cam Jones ADP in this? People take
Very
him?
low. He's like a great advance rate guy.
Great
So
advance rate guy.
So if on like my teams with like kind of weak stacks, like some of these like Houston and Florida, Auburn secondary guys, they don't score great, and you draft them in like the second and third round. You need like the monsters like Cam Jones to kind of buoy your team. The first round, it's not too tough to get out because it's 2 out of 6, but still, he's probably worthwhile. Then if he goes on like a mini run to the Sweet 16, you have like a top scoring.
Oh no, Alex's internet cut out on him.
Yeah, like a couple of weeks before the brackets. Are you back? We back?
Yeah, your internet lagged out for a second, or shit. Maybe it was mine. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Yeah, I was just saying Cam Jones is a good advance rate guy. Before the bracket, it was Kalkbrenner's the guy I was taking, but he has Auburn in the second round, even if they get past Louisville.
Oh man, Kalkbrenner
for him.
Kalkbrenner is awesome for DFS. I mean, I have no idea how this is this guy even going to get like a G League contract? He like can't move, but
maybe. He definitely does not look like an NBA player. Like I think he'd have a good overseas career potentially. Someone took our Cam Jones idea, but we'll grab Reese. Get a second Maryland piece.
So my assumption would be the guys you kind of want are wings like for your one-off pieces. For your like, I just need someone to advance. It looks like the scoring is most bereft at wing.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's some one-off, and even the one-offs are kind of rough, especially trying to get a team through 2 games. Richie Saunders is awesome, but like he doesn't even play 30 minutes, and BYU has a almost coin flip game in the opener, so that one's tough. We're probably in okay shape at wing, but not great. So adding like an advance rate guy might be helpful. But getting back to our stacks, we have we could take just like a Maryland and Texas Tech guard and just kind of be covered with those 3 teams.
Are there any of these? I mean, yeah, we definitely could. Are there any teams that just play like a 6-man rotation or 7-man rotation?
Maryland plays all their 5 starters, usually like 33 plus minutes. So they're a pretty good team in this format because they're not getting drafted where I think they should be, and they just play a lot of minutes. So if there's some close games, like you could get pretty good scores across the board just because they don't have a deep rotation. Like Michigan State plays like 10 plus guys every game. It's just rather annoying for any fantasy purposes.
Yeah, it is going to be really annoying. I think you're right. I think we do need a guard, and then probably the final pick should be a wing.
Yeah, it's between that or just building out a third piece to the Texas Tech and trying to skate by with these wings.
Is there a draftable Texas Tech guy? Like what's the balance of power?
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Hawkins is their point guard. He's pretty solid. But like we'll admit this team is rather weak on the wing, but like nobody that we can take is like a smasher anyway. Shefflin would be the closest thing.
I lost a lot of money on this Milan Momosilovic guy last tournament. I watched him play for a little bit, and I was like, oh, this guy's kind of sick. He's kind of got this like all around skill set, and then he just like kept sucking, just like
he's like 6'10" and like he grabs like 2.5 rebounds a game, but he can shoot some threes, so he's kind of all over the place. But I don't mind this team. Like at least it's covering 3 teams, kind of anchored to Tennessee making the finals, which I don't love their chances, but at least it's a viable team for this contest.
Yeah, and I mean, look, that is the price you're going to pay. You're going to wait for the bracket to come out. You're going to wait for the tournament to be filling. You're not going to get the most elite prices. So this team has a championship because the championship is its own round, right? Yeah. So that is pretty interesting. Do you like that, or do you wish they would have done Final Four as its own round?
I'm okay with it. It's fine. It just places an emphasis on the end of the tournament way more than the front end, which I guess is fine. It's just you have to adapt to whatever the rules are. What's going to be interesting is if like all 4 1 seeds make it. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of teams are live. It's going to probably be teams that are drafted early. Like
early.
I don't really see a great chance for, if that scenario happens, like drafts that take place now being able to compete. But
what's so funny is like it's unknowable until you know the results of the tournament. Like there's this thought right now in NBA, like, oh, the winner's already been drafted because there were a bunch of cheap Lakers teams early. Like, oh, the winner's already been drafted. You can't get Luka and LeBron and Reeves all together. It's like, well, then if the Lakers lose in the second round to some team or whatever, then it's totally immaterial.
Yeah.
Well, I would bet you're right. I bet the winner probably is already drafted because the tournament is like 93% full right now. So I would bet the winner. I bet if you made me bet, I would bet the winner probably is drafted.
Sharp guy.
All right, talk to me about this, John. You know, I don't know anything. I literally know Cooper Flag and the Alabama guard. These are the guys I know. Talk to me about this Broome fella.
Yeah, so Broome started at Morehead State. He's been with Auburn I think this is his 3rd year. He's just a big guy, like high usage, really good offensive rebounder. Just kind of does everything, block shots, doesn't usually commit too many dumb fouls, so he stays on the floor. We've been pushing his minutes a lot this season, so I think he's just like, yeah, it's like him and Flag 1-2, and with the injury concerns, and I was drafting a lot of Flag late last week, so 1-1 for me right now is Broome.
Is he an NBA guy at all?
You know, he'll probably get drafted, but I don't think he's like I don't think he's a lottery pick or anything. But I'm no NBA draft expert. I would guess that he's not projected to be a lottery pick.
Yeah. All right. So then, I mean, basically, you take Auburn. What are we wanting to do with the rest of this team? Who else is good for them in fantasy?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the issue with Auburn is like so much is funneled through Broome that the secondary guys are kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Chad Baker-Mazara is their second best guy for fantasy, but like sometimes he just doesn't show up, or he has kind of a hot temper. Like he got ejected 2 games ago, then came off the bench last game. But like in theory, he's their second best player. I don't like taking him at all unless I'm pairing him with Broome. Chaney Johnson's a big who gets into foul trouble pretty often, but he plays for Auburn. Miles Kelly and Pettiford are more outside shooters. Denver Jones is like a defense kind of guy who'll play a lot of minutes in close games and can just get some counting stats accumulated. So like they don't have smash secondary options, but like if Auburn makes the finals, you got to have some of these goofballs with Broome.
I mean, you'll just need them because they're going to score more points than 0 is like how that works. Basically. But it is, I mean, it's like the NFL conundrum is like the comparable is like, okay, am I taking Juju Smith-Schuster or am I taking Terry McLaurin? You know, way lower odds of the Super Bowl, more points. Are you going to take Baker-Mazara here or try and push it?
I might try to push. I'm trying to think, like there's not a lot of great options on the opposite side of Auburn to start stacks with. So I'm trying to think, like, do I want to just take one Houston guy and then I'm going to take Baker-Mazara and then I'm going to take Uzon for Houston because I think we can get a 4-man Houston Auburn and at least have a viable lineup that way, and then build out a couple of other stacks on the left side of the bracket as well. On the right side, I mean.
Why are all the Iowa State guys going so early? It's
really just Jefferson. A lot of that is because he's a wing, and it's just like a position of need. Their guards have kind of fallen a bit. Gilbert's out for the tournament. So if you pick Jefferson up in the first couple rounds, and his ADP is actually dropping, I think people are just down on Iowa State in general. So he's a guy you can probably get in the early 20s now in some drafts and then like build like a secondary Iowa State stack. But yeah, I mean, they're down one of their better guards for the tournament. They're in Auburn's region. Things don't look as good for them as they did maybe a couple weeks ago.
I mean, am I crazy? I feel like Auburn has like never been a powerhouse basketball team for as long as like I've been paying attention to March Madness. Like, did they change? Are they just like sick this year? Did they get a new coach? Like, what happened?
I mean, Bruce Pearl's been there for a handful of
Yeah,
years.
forever.
They were really good last year too. I think they were a top 10 team, and then maybe a few years back as well. So this isn't brand new. Like Pearl's definitely elevated the program in terms of recruiting and stuff. So I think the last handful of years they've been pretty solid.
Bruce Pearl used to be the Tennessee coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he got fired for like having like a barbecue or something where he gave players something. I don't know. Something that wouldn't matter these days.
I was gonna say something that has never mattered less than it does at this moment right now. Yeah, it's really funny.
So I was trying to get Tugler to slip to us and then take Tugler and Chaney, but someone took him. So we can get Chaney Johnson and cover the wing position with Auburn, which is good. But then we're still kind of stuck.
We need scorers though. We need some points.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take Sharp to get a second Houston piece just because we have Uzon already. So at least like if Auburn and Houston play in the finals, we have a 5-man team here. Yeah, we definitely need some help with some advance rate guys. So this might be a draft where start looking at those Cam Jones types a little earlier than usual.
Well, this is very anecdotal. This is not back tested by data, but generally speaking, I've been doing enough playoff basketball contests of all sport varieties to know this. What you actually end up remembering about playoff basketball, like the guys that really matter, are very rarely on the champions. It's generally, like for this year in playoff basketball, it was Ladd McConkey, Joe Mixon, and Terry McLaurin. Those were like the most important guys to have gotten. None of them were on the, obviously they weren't on like the winning team or contributed to the winning team, but the getting the advance rate pieces right is more important than getting the championship teams right, because the field will mostly get the champion teams right. So it's differentiating between.
Yeah. Is that the same in like
whoever.
NBA best ball? Because I don't think I've played NBA before. I have played NFL, and like it's like the receiver who just goes off. Like you definitely need him.
It's a little bit less true in NBA. NBA is more about getting. NBA is kind of almost more about getting the marginal call between Drew Holiday and Derek White, right? Or Aaron Wiggins versus Lou Dort on your Thunder, your 1 seed team, or whatever. But obviously in basketball, point scoring is more predictive, so ADP is going to hew a little bit more towards being correct.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, so we're going to introduce a new team, Clemson. They're on the opposite side of Auburn. I think they can get through their first game at the very least, so that guarantees them 2 games. So that'll help out with some advance rate stuff. And we can cover a wing and a big with them, so that's kind of nice. So taking Shiplin and Locken, I think makes a lot of sense. So like we're kind of anchored towards Auburn making the finals, and now we have like a Clemson and Houston on the opposite side to kind of root for. And even though they're in the same bracket, which I think it's fine. Clemson can still get 2 games before they meet to help out with the advance rate stuff. And then like say Clemson knocks off Houston, like at least you're guaranteed one of those 2 teams moving forward.
Yes. And this is a good point. Obviously for NBA stuff that doesn't apply here is the NBA. You could play varying amounts of games
so
in one series.
So actually like the college one might have like, it might matter the least amount because it's one game, but it's basketball.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's definitely an interesting concept.
Yes. And they're also, this is less true in NBA. This would be most true in college basketball of any of the playoff basketball. Some teams play so slow and so annoying that they just, even their good players don't generate that many fantasy points. I think that's less true in college basketball now than it used to be. But there used to be these teams that would just play like so slow and defensive and grind it out. I think my sense is that is not as true in college basketball anymore. Baseline teams are playing faster and shooting more threes and things. But, if there is some terrible nightmare matchup where your 2 seed that you like gets in 2 consecutive grinded out games that end 58-49 or whatever, which can happen in college basketball, like then you're kind of screwed just by circumstance.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also interesting that like the first scoring period of this contest is the first and second round. So like even if your guy does well the first game and his team loses, like he's likely not going to carry a score that will matter.
Yes. Yeah, that actually is a good point. All right, what are we going to do here?
Yeah, let's just get Cam Jones, get us some points.
Houston doesn't play that slow. I think
they're so slow.
Are they?
They're like 360.
Maybe I was looking at this wrong. Yeah, okay. Oh shit, they're really bad. Yeah, really, really bad. And Tennessee,
but they're good offensively. Like they're really efficient offensively. All right, we're gonna take Clifford too. We just like we got some guard reinforcements. Like Cam Jones and Clifford carry us through the first round, and then we'll have to have our Auburn Houston guys take over.
Oh yeah, you literally had to tell me that last week that Houston plays super grinded out.
Hey, I mean,
that's valid, man.
You'll watch them for 3 minutes and you'll be like, okay, yeah, I will never unsee this. They just want to rock fight every team.
I've got a lot of headspace for a lot of sports stuff, but I can't store the college basketball stuff in there for more than one week a year, basically.
Yeah, it's just temporary.
My suspicion is that this is true as well, is that the advance rate pieces are going to be the rando teams that make it to the just like the random guys who make it to the Sweet 16.
Also, the second scoring period, which is the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, is one team out of, I think it's 6 or 8. Like that's the tough, like, let me see what it is.
Yeah.
Should know this. It's 1 out of 8. That round's brutal to get through. So like if you have some guys, to his point, that are playing in those games and can help you get through, like that'll be key, because that's the big one to get through that scoring period.
Now there are also going to be a shit ton of dead teams there, which is
for sure. Like especially the ones that have been drafted in the last few days. A lot of those teams I've seen are really high advance rate teams that have legitimately 0% chance of winning the contest. So these teams you're drafting now are going to be harder to advance because you're competing against more of like these one-off teams that are just loaded with scorers. So another angle makes this contest pretty interesting.
Yeah, generally speaking, I mean, finding the right balance. I assume we need a wing here.
Yeah, we could take a one-off wing or load up with like another Clemson or Auburn guard, but I feel like, let's see, we only have one Auburn guard. Denver Jones isn't really a scorer. Yeah, our wings are kind of, we'll go with the BYU guy, Richie Saunders. Yeah, don't mind that team at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm at 90 entries. I doubt I get through 60 before it fills in like 2 hours.
All right, we can do one more, and then we'll do some champions. We'll do some pick'ems. We'll fire, because look, man, I gotta have something.
We're getting
Thursday and
still
Friday.
working on projections, so we're going total vibes pick'em.
I was gonna say you're in the right place to do some total vibes pick'ems. I definitely need an 8-legger of all preposterous stuff. I think they will. My guess, no one from Underdog has spoken this to me. I'm gonna guess everyone's gonna get a sick token on Thursday. You're gonna get like a 100% profit boost, or like no sweat pick them up to $100 or something on Thursday. They're gonna want people on the app on Thursday, I think.
Have you been doing a lot? Have you been doing any of the like the live pick'em stuff?
Yes.
Basically, I didn't even know they had that until a few weeks ago. I was like, oh, I just can't do there. I can't do more, but it looks pretty cool.
What I do with Underdog stuff is if they are giving me a boost or a no sweat or anything, I just do it. Because I'm like, you don't get that stuff from sportsbooks anymore. Like if you're I'm not in a legal sports betting state, so I don't even have the option. But like, let's say I go to Illinois for the weekend or whatever, and I want to just have a sweat on a random game. Like they're not going to give it to me, But if you are just on Underdog watching a game, there's like, I don't know, a 60% chance that you'll have something Because they want people checking it for the in-game stuff, you can get like 60, like sometimes like, oh, just 40%, $100 max entry pick'em stuff. I mean, it's pretty nice. Now, I mean, I have no ability to project what's happening in a random NHL game, but it's not going to stop me from firing.
Just, got to fire.
Yeah. This is so true. There really might be like 5 live teams in the finals, depending on who gets there, because there are going to be so many teams that are not constructed to be live. And if it's 1 seed versus 1 seed, those are just harder combos to get.
And there's going to be a lot of pod luck too, like a lot of
Yes.
pod luck. All right. The problem with taking Florida guys is they're being taken so early that it's going to be like impossible to build
To stack
a stack on Florida, and they're on the rough.
I think if they become harder to stack, I think you let that be someone else's problem. Really.
Yeah. I'm actually going to reach a tiny bit and start a team with Sears, because it's more evident that drafting teams on the right side of the bracket, it's harder to find teams on the right side of the bracket from these last couple of drafts. So Sears kind of satisfies that. And we got some positive news on Grant Nelson's injury situation. So I think he should be back by the weekend at least. So
man, that guy is
Yeah, I know, right?
infuriating to watch.
So I think we can try to get him in like the 3rd round. So we need another team on the left side, which is the South and West. Maybe like a St. John's team would be fun if we can get RJ Luis to start that.
Do they play fast?
They play probably middling. They're a pretty fun team. And just this dude, RJ Luis, like grade A chucker. Like
I was going to say, RJ Luis already sounds like a guy who is going to be on the like montage of the highlights of the opening weekend. Like RJ Luis, that sounds like a guy who is potentially going to be famous here in a couple weeks.
Buddy loves to shoot the ball. He's pretty awesome.
Okay. All right, there we go. So that is my RJ Luis is my early guess. Now, Wojnarowski's team did not make the tournament. St. Bonaventure, were they even close?
No.
Or
they played tonight, so they must be okay. They're in the NIT, so
yeah,
I think they're close. So I think we touched on this last time too. Another year of GMing work to do.
Yeah. All right. So we take Grant Nelson,
or we could go for Zuby, and we could play the angle that maybe the news on Nelson's not as optimistic as they're making it out to be, and he's limited. Well, now we have no choice because somebody does not want us to have Zuby.
Do they have a backup big who would be reasonable for
Diabute? And he was good last game too. So we could even since we already got wing covered with Luis, we could just jump to St. John's heavy and take Richmond here, which let's do that. And then we'll cover with the backup big who's going to play anyway. So it's unfortunate we couldn't take the big for St. John's. We're going to have to try to get Amarui at some point, maybe the 5th round.
Everyone is going to know Max Shulga by Sunday.
That's not a bad take. He plays for a VCU, and they have BYU in the 1st round, who's terrible defensively. And then if they assume the winner of that plays Wisconsin, which Wisconsin's not your typical Wisconsin team. They actually have some athletes and can run and stuff, but they're still Wisconsin in their core. So I think, I don't mind that. Shulga's pretty awesome.
I will say that does sound like a March Madness name.
Max Shulga.
Yeah. You can't get the March Madness guy is never named Josh Smith. You know, he always has a little bit of a weird name. Nerdy looking white guard who can shoot. Well, I would say
he's also number 1. He's Ukrainian, left his house at 13 to pursue basketball and hasn't been back since. So
yes. Yep. Yeah, that's kind of got all the fundamental recipes of what we're looking for a famous Saturday guy.
Yeah.
Who does he play for? He plays for VCU.
Yeah. Some are comparing VCU to like a Houston Light. They pressure the ball defensively. But I mean, they have a tough travel. They have to go to Denver, I believe, in elevation and play BYU, who's an elevation team already that's closer by.
Sure.
So that's kind of a tough situation, but all the ball knowers kind of say that VCU has the schematic edge on BYU and they could kind of struggle with their pressure. So
is Shaka Smart still the coach of Texas?
He's at Marquette, right? Yeah.
Didn't he? But he left VCU to go coach Texas, right? Or did I make that up?
Yeah. He's at Marquette.
All right.
No, you didn't make that up. He was there. He's kind of a nomad. He doesn't stay for too long.
That's a guy, just a cool name. I remember Shaka Smart because they had the one run and he had a cool name. All right, who are we taking here? We need a big.
Oh man, we don't need to reach on our stat guys, so we can.
No.
Yeah, let's take Amari Williams for Kentucky. This dude's awesome. If you get a chance to watch Kentucky play, he's kind of like a point center. Just smashes rebounds, like really good passer, can score as well. The frustrating thing with him is they like refuse to play him over 24 minutes a game all season, but now he's getting some games where he's upper 20s. So he's really fun to watch. He's kind of a really good rates guy. And if he plays 30 minutes, he can really put together some stat lines.
Yeah. My plan is I basically am just not going to work Thursday and Friday. I mean, I'm my own boss.
I mean, that sounds like an amazing plan.
Yeah. Well, I thought about like, how can I monetize this? And like, well, I don't know enough about college basketball to do, like, I can't just like live commentate the games by myself. Like, I literally just don't know enough. So it's not like
Here's Houston watching with their opening round game. We're looking forward to running up and down the floor.
Exactly. All right. Do we take a Bama guy here or a St. John's guy?
Let's build out the Bama guys. I want to get this wing in. And then I kind of like this team. We may need some reinforcements at the big position.
This
maybe
is
like a Dickinson or an EK.
This is all like when I think of a March Madness legend, I go my first name is always Ali for Oakland. Actually,
he was awesome. Was that North
Iowa?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a good one.
Yeah. I did. Yeah. All right. We took a Bama guy.
We have a 5-man Bama stack. We have 2 St. John's, 1 Kentucky.
Do we want to try and go for another Bama guy? Because something I like to do, if we feel okay about our points, is just literally set up a 5-man roster that could win. If it gets like just all Bama guys, we don't even need to get a second thing, right?
Yeah, the problem is I don't see a team that's not going to be drafted making the finals this year with the being so top heavy. But let's see who on this opposite side of Bama could make like a run. Hunter Dickinson, not sure about that, but like,
I mean, Hunter Dickinson, KU's not going to win, but Hunter Dickinson will probably get a lot of points, right? I mean,
we may need some advanced help in the first round with this team. With like our Grant Nelson's going to be out the first game at least. Like he's not going to help in the first round,
right?
If Bama blows out their first round opponent, like they may not score well. That's another thing with these 1 and 2 seeds that we're stacking in this contest is that they may win by 30 and their guys play limited minutes.
Yeah.
We'll take Dickinson. Like Kansas is not good enough to blow anybody out in this tournament. So we'll see his goofy ass for 32 minutes.
I was going to say, what happened to Hunter Dickinson, who was like awesome at Michigan? How is he bad at a better basketball school?
I think he's still good. He just hasn't gotten any better. He hasn't expanded his game, and he's just like a liability defensively. Like he's so slow-footed. Like he's a good college player. He's just like there's definitely a ceiling on him. I don't love Michigan State, but Jace Richardson's awesome, and he's emerging as a scorer. So I'm just going to tack him on. He's on the opposite side of Alabama. If Michigan State makes a run to the finals, not many teams are going to have Michigan State guys. They're hard to draft. So like if Michigan State Bama finals. Like I feel pretty good with this team having won their best piece. They played 9 other guys that won't score that great, and then 5 Bama guys. So kind of like this team. Little wonky, but you can do some different things if you overstack and get like 5 of a 1 seed.
Who is Chaz?
Chaz Lanier for
Chaz
Tennessee.
Lanier. Okay.
He's just kind of like a perimeter shooter type.
I mean, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like those guys can be really valuable. Milicic, I'm telling you, man, I watch that guy play and I can so see it. It'll obviously never happen, but I very distinctly remember watching Iowa State last year being like, damn, man, if that guy could play basketball, he'd be really good at basketball.
I mean, yeah.
Some guys just have it like that. All right. Do we want to do any other general strategy stuff before we fire a couple pick'ems?
No.
I guess this. Actually, this is a good question. The BRs.
Yes.
What angles, like, what are you anticipating people are going to be bad at, good at? Like, I'm assuming. I mean, I don't know. Let me even go look and see if they have it in the lobby. I'm assuming at least Thursday or Friday, one of those 2 days, there's going to be a decent amount of money to first.
Maybe like a 20 to 30K BR. Like they're running like a 5K one for the NIT tonight. Well, 5K overall. So I'm expecting something bigger. It'll be interesting because a lot of people use ETR for BRs, and this is the first time we will actually have college basketball projections. So I think people may just export the ETR projections and maybe do some auto drafting there. So there's potential that ADP could settle a bit more than usual. I've kind of learned with the BRs that like if some teams that are not normally on slates are on a slate for BR, like the ADPs, like the default ADPs are pretty far off where I have projections. So
yeah,
you can kind of draft kind of straight up balancing ADPs and projection and try to get some like killer combinations that you won't be able to get as ADP settles.
I was going to say, my advice would be, don't just copy paste the ETR rankings. Definitely use the ETR rankings or whoever you want. Like, do put those in there because you're not going to know enough about college basketball than Alex's computer or whatever. But you don't want to be duping, or like, more importantly than duping, because duping,
you're not differentiating your own teams enough either. If you're just
you don't want to have the combos that are so popular. You don't, like, if this 3rd round pick is always with this 4th round pick, you don't want that. Also, this is true. So many states can't do college.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, it is. Including the state of New York. What an absolute bummer. But
I hope they're back soon. Hopefully.
We need it. We need it. I don't think it will impact NFL prize pools, but it definitely has the ability to impact like BR sizing and stuff. Let's cook a couple pick'ems. Let's just see what we have here. And we can even take some unders. You know, something that I realized that I'm comfortable with is a sport that I don't know as much about or am less comfortable about. Like baseball unders, let me take baseball unders. Like I had a bunch of unders in this game this morning, like a bunch of, like, I took like lower strikeouts, lower hits or whatever. And yeah, it turns out actually nothing really happens in these sports. So let's just go.
Yeah, let's get to Thursday maybe.
Let's get to Thursday. Let's just play a full Houston blowout. SIUE, by the way, Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, is like 45 minutes from my house. I was unaware they even had a college basketball team.
They've got to be new because I think I had to add them to my sheets this year sometime. So I don't know at what point they got into D1, but yeah.
All right, if we've got a big blowout, if we think Houston is just smashing them, you know, they're up 37 points. Who are we taking a lower on for Houston?
That's the problem, is they're so balanced, and these aren't big, like 16.5 points. Like I could see them all going over or all going under.
All going under.
It's kind of rough.
All right. Well, we can skip that one.
See.
Let's go. Let's take an over in VCU, BYU. They're gonna give me Max Shulga. If this guy,
There we
gotta
go.
take
Yeah, let's play this game like just being absolutely kind of nuts.
okay.
You want to go like Shulga points over?
Shulga points over, and then who is
I
the
know
big BYU chucker?
Richie Saunders.
Richie Saunders. What's Richie Saunders 3 point? Let's do 1.5 3-pointers made. He'll
All right, that works.
definitely yeah. Wow. My guy goes to SIUE games.
Wow.
That is commitment, brother. That is absolute commitment. All right. We've got Max Shulga, Richie Saunders. Let's go. This will be
Can you go back to
Yes.
VCU BYU? I wanted to see what they had for Zeb Jackson.
Zeb Jackson has
Okay,
9.5 points.
I think there's some negative correlation between Jackson and Philip Russell, who just came back from injury. So if you wanted to go like under Zeb Jackson and over Philip Russell, I think that's an
Let's
interesting
see
angle to take.
Bang.
Will that destroy things in terms
Looks
of the
like
payout?
So it's hard for me to do the correlation math in my head because we've added in additional multipliers. So like we have a 0.88x and a 1.04x. So I'm not doing that math in my head. My guess would be it is penalizing us a little bit. Let's do Arkansas KU. This will be, you know what's funny? This will probably be one of the most watched games of the first round. It's after work for everyone on Thursday, and it's a traditional blue blood program. What do we got? What do we got here? I know KU fans hate this guy. I know a lot of KU fans. DeJuan Harris Jr.
Oh,
KU
he
fans
just
hate
like
this guy.
doesn't do tons offensively. I kind of like the under on John L. Harris. Again, not math based take, but like there's some games where he was
John L.
at the
Davis.
top. Yeah.
Let's do points.
Under points, yeah.
Under points. And I'm going to take under assists on DeJuan Harris Jr. as well.
There we go.
Vibes based. What do we got? Who is?
You want to take a look? Let's look at Michigan, UC San Diego.
Okay, this is the game.
I want to see if they have a turnovers one for Danny Wolf.
Danny Wolf. They probably do. Oh yeah, they definitely do.
Turnovers?
Yes.
Okay. 3.5. That's high line. So like this dude's notorious for just throwing like cross court like passes that get intercepted. And
sold.
UC San Diego's the number one steal defense in the country. So it's just like a really weird, a really funny matchup. Michigan has turnover problems at all, but like 3.5 is a lot of turnover.
3.5 is a lot of turnovers, but not for a college basketball player. Let me tell you, college basketball players, brother, they love to do that. All right, so then who should we take for higher steals or blocks on?
Who is their what is his name? Their one guy has just like has like insane steal rate. Yeah, Hayden Gray. He's the like number one. Like he gets a steal on like 5.9% of possessions.
You know what? This is actually a very fun way to experience college basketball. 1.5 steals. I mean, that feels like a gift.
That feels.
So it's actually a very fun way to experience college basketball because if you are someone like me that watches mostly professional basketball, you'll find yourself very frustrated by how lackadaisical the guys are with the ball. But if you're taking hires on steals, then I mean you're laughing. You're feeling great. So that's 8. So bam, that's the Friday 8-legger. I'm gonna do this as a flex. I'm gonna put $25 on that. So that'll get me if assuming we win, that will kind of get me through the day. All right, so that is Max Shulga higher than 14.5 points, Richie Saunders higher than 1.5 threes, Zeb Jackson lower than 9.5 points, Philip Russell higher than 8.5 points, John L. Davis lower than 13.5 points, DeJuan Harris Jr. lower than 5.5 assists, Danny Wolf 3.5 turnovers, Hayden Gray higher than 1.5 steals. That might be the gold star lock after looking at that.
Let's hope Danny Wolf has some popcorn before the game or something. Get the slippery fingers working because 4 turnovers is a lot. But
4 turnovers is a lot. But you know, it's college basketball. Anything can happen. Now let's cook one for Friday. What do you want to start looking at here?
All right, let's see. Iowa State. What do they have Curtis Joseph for Iowa State at? I think he could be
Curtis
taking
Joseph
ISU. It's right up.
There we go. Oh, Lipscomb. Okay. Oh, my boy, Momsilovich.
Yeah, it's kind of high.
We are looking for Curtis Jones.
Curtis Jones. Yeah. He's a big shot maker. His usage will probably tick up a bit with Gilbert out.
You want to do 3-pointers?
Yeah, that works.
Multiplier there.
We get almost 1.2.
What do we have?
You got to do something on your boy Milan Mom.
Yeah, let's do turnovers. I mean, turnovers is that's what you want with him because he should have the ball in his hands a little bit more. He's a big guy. Let's see, who leads Lipscomb in 3-point attempts? Because you gotta have the bring back. I mean, that is just classic. 3-point attempt rate, Gyasi Powell. That's a college basketball name. They might not even have him. Yeah, they do not have him listed. Who's second? Joe Anderson. Do we have Joe Anderson? Joe Anderson for 2.5. That seems rich. I'm not going to do that. 2.5. That's just a lot.
His last few games, he's made 4, 4, 8, 3, 5, 3. All
right, sold.
I'm just saying.
Say less.
Buddy Chucks.
Buddy Chucks. All right, there we go. We got Joe Anderson. Let's go. I don't know who Van or SMC is. Vanderbilt.
Ooh, I like. I think the size of St. Mary's could give them some issues. So we got some rebound stuff on Mitchell Saxton. Might be interesting.
Mitchell Saxton, 7.5 boards. Yeah, we'll take that with a 0.91x multiplier.
Check out my Terps.
Yeah, come on. We gotta fear some turtle. Who's our boy here? Jacoby Gillespie, Derek Queen.
Queen might save his big performance for the second round. Let's go with one of Rodney Rice or Miguel overs.
We got Rodney Rice, 14.5 points, 2.5 3-pointers made.
He takes a lot of threes. I know you like that 3-point prop.
Yes, let's just do what's his 3-point 3-pointers made look like for Rodney Rice.
It's kind of cold the last few games, but he's taken 6, 9, 5, 9, 8, 8. He's like a 38% shooter.
All right. 2.5 3-pointers made there, and we're gonna flex it anyway. So that is our Terp. Who's the big for Kentucky that we think might get some extra minutes? Amari Williams.
I would just go points, rebounds, assist on him.
Points, rebounds,
because he does a lot of everything. Sometimes he doesn't score much, but he just things run through him. He's kind of a hub on their offense.
All right. Okay. We got to take the Cam Jones 2.5 3-pointers. I mean, that's all day. 2.5, simple. And then the nightcap. What's the night? Oklahoma, Connecticut. That could be okay. That could be a good game. Where is Alabama? I guess Alabama. We don't really care about their game. Which one of these games is going to be best?
My favorite sweat on UConn is taking Alex Hardin under rebounds and then tilting how he beats it by a half rebound because somebody misses a 3 and it bounces out to him 30 feet. So that's always an all-time classic, going under on Alex Hardin rebounds and just watching him get
does this
9
dude does
rebounds.
He shoot threes, Alex Hardin?
He does.
Okay, we're gonna take lower 6.5 boards. That is a juicy. If you do the flex, it's not even gonna let me do $25. I bet because max you can win is 3,000 when you play champions. All right, there we go. That is our Friday sweat. The links to that are saved in the description. Alex, talk to me about what ETR has coming up if someone would like to sweat out March Madness.
Yeah, so our ETR tournament pass is what they're calling it, our college basketball product. It covers Underdog basketball rankings, which will be updated for another day until the contest closes. We'll have all the DFS contests covered with projections, ownership, sync to solver. We'll be doing shows for all the main tourney slates and some top plays article, the ETR style there. And then we're doing player props in Discord for all the games. So everything, one price gets you for the whole tournament, all within one package. So yeah, it should be a good time.
All right, there we go. Everyone, you guys can check out my friends over at ETR. I'm actually going to do a members only stream here in like 30 minutes. If everyone wants to come chill there, I think I'm just going to draft some dingers, and then I will be back streaming big boards tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. See y'all then. Happy March Madness.
It's Short King Summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich, football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense